So here we are on a very exciting Tuesday night. I have the back door open in my house and a cool breeze coming in. Sitting here expectantly with senior consultant Cathy Coward. I know she's had a a busy day, one of those days where, and I'm doing my quote marks with my fingers, life happens. And so I'm sure we'll hear about that, but it's good that we do, because I know everybody on this call has crazy busy lives, and they're like, how do I fit my Ambit business in? So this is a good call for you busy chaps. But first of all, let's bring Cathy on the line. Senior consultant Cathy Coward, are you there, my lovely?
I am here. And I did have one of those days where life just happens in the best laid plans. Feels a little bit crazy sometimes.
All right. Well, we had a long call yesterday, which was good, and it was entirely relevant. We're going to aim to have a shorter call today because I want to set a duplicatable example. In that, if there's other seniors and executives who are going to be doing accountability calls like I am on a regular week-by-week basis, we don't want them to be an hour-long call. We want it to be only 10 to 15 minutes. Our calls tend to be a little bit longer because we've got a little bit of coaching going on in there, but let's aim for a shorter period and see how we get on. So, Cathy, tell me about your day.
Okay, I'm going to leave out all the life stuff because it's just kind of crazy and boring and for everybody else. But just it was one of those days where I set out one way and everything went a different way. So I wound up way too long doing this, and people popping up in my life that really needed my time and genuinely needed my time. Genuinely, friends, family members, is that genuinely needed me to just not answer the phone and spend time with them. And that happened. Right. It happened.
Right. But you still got your Ambit stuff done, right?
You bet. So
there you go. So how did you do that?
Do you want to start? Let's start with the salon lady. Remember, this is the one that I completely vomited Ambit on her in a text message a year ago.
Yeah, I remember it well. Let me hear all about it.
So I went in. I was on my way to my MRI today, so I intentionally stopped in there about 20 minutes before I had to be at my MRI. I was just a little bit past her place of business. I'd never been in there. And she saw me, I saw her, and she was like, oh, and she was glad to see me. We hadn't seen each other in a few weeks, and
great.
She just immediately spurted out, Cathy, I am so busy, very so busy, we cannot even make a time for dinner, much less another business. She goes, I love you so much, and then she proceeded to say, I didn't even get anything out of my mouth. She knew I was there. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get anything out. She goes, I'm an Ambit customer. This whole shop, and she's got 3 shops. All of these are Ambit accounts. I've been an Ambit customer. I love Ambit. I said, well, let me ask you. So did you sign up through a consultant? She goes, no, I just go to the website. Oh. And so we proceeded to talk just a little bit, and she wanted flyers and business cards, and she goes, I'll send you everybody. She goes, I am so proud of you. I'm so glad that you're doing this. And she just immediately shut me down when I walked in the door. But it was a very kind conversation, and she's, pulling out a business card thing and putting her flyers right here. I said, well, just, let them know that you referred me, that you referred them. And it was a great conversation, and I was in there maybe 10 minutes, maybe a 10-minute talk, and it didn't go the way I wanted it to. But she's just very excited about helping me.
Well, here's the thing. On a situation like that, when her perception is that she is super busy, and I'm sure that she is, and we'll deal with that in a second. But and sometimes you just have to, it's her reality that's important, not yours. And if she's busy like that and she doesn't have time for an Ambit business, then that is the way it is. And so you go for the second place, which is referrals and customers. Now, she can't be a customer because she's obviously already signed up with Ambit. It's a shame she didn't come through you, but hey, it is what it is. But she's going to refer people to you as customers and maybe as a business opportunity, and that's the best that we can hope for. So, no, it didn't go absolutely the way you wanted it to go, but it went formulaically correct. According to the purge system that we do, we make the invite when we don't care about the outcome. We just hope for the best that we can get, starting with a consultant, secondly with a customer, thirdly with referrals. And fourthly, which you're going to do anyway, is to follow up, because does she want to be busy, that busy for the rest of her life? Is she always going to have the time and energy to be that busy for the rest of her life? And obviously the answer to that is no, but she may never see a way out. And so she's going to go on the drip list for a call back in 6 months, and you'll update her. Because there'll be a time when she's like sick and tired of it.
Yes, sir. And this is her second business she started, and she just opened it up in the last few months. So I know that she's busy with all that. Yeah. And in her mind, I knew to stop right there.
Yeah,
in her mind,
you dealt with it absolutely right. And that's the thing, is when you posture well, and you're not attached to the outcome, then you can stop right there and not come across as desperate. Like when we're kids, right, and we want the girl to go out with us or the boy to go out with us, and they won't. Sometimes you can get a little bit desperate. Maybe I'm telling my own story here, not yours, but it's like almost begging, and we just can't do that. We just can't do that. You dealt with it absolutely perfectly. I think you did absolutely top-notch work there, and very duplicatable. And she goes on your drip list to call her back. We'll purge her. That's the purge call. And we'll call her back in 6 months and update her with what's going on. That's it.
Awesome.
Easy. So great job.
Well, in the middle of everything we were doing today, I don't know if I told you, I had to chaperone. I did my penance for all my misdeeds for the last year, because I chaperoned a 5th grade field trip, whatever they call them, to the museum. Mm-hmm. So, but there was one sweet lady that's a friend of our daughters are friends, and they come over a lot. I live close to the school. A lot of kids walk on with me. So and I didn't say much about the business that day. We had one person in the car that has been an Ambit customer for a long time. Mm-hmm. She says, "Oh, my friend sells Ambit. She about wore me out with that. Can you just tell me how to redeem my benefits?" So I left that alone. This is not somebody I knew well. The other lady is a substitute teacher, and she, kind of panicking about what she's going to do this summer. I didn't say much. It wasn't the right environment, but I did call her. Was it last night or the night before? I said, hey, let's go to lunch. Hey, what does your Thursday look like? And she was the one that had to get home and get to her schedule. So now I have a date for Thursday. We go to lunch. Got a date with her, and, we laughed and joked, and she said, we have to be home by 4. I said, oh, no, it's fine. I'm home by 2, and I try to pretend I haven't had fun all day. And so she's coming with me, and she said that she had talked to her husband about, and I hadn't shared anything with the business about her. I mean, I kind of just dripped a little bit and stayed pretty tight-lipped. But she's interested now. She's interested, and she's kind of, so I've got that date for this week. I've got another date that a doctor referred to me.
Just 1 second. Hold on 1 second. On those people who've gone on the drip list, and this girl who's definitely interested, that's good. Make sure you're friends with them on Facebook, by the way.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, good, because when you get pinned as an EC, or when people are congratulating you for this or that or the other, they'll get to see it. And whether it's conscious or subconscious, it'll go into their brain, and she'll see, wow, Cathy's doing well. Wow, Cathy's doing well. And it'll just sit there. And you never know. I've had people proactively say, Richard, are you still doing that Ambit thing? I see you on your Facebook thing and stuff. I need to take another look at that. My wife's just blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, there's a potential consultant there, because they're just seeing, gently life going on Facebook. So make sure they're all Facebook friends.
And I might want to talk to you about that on a separate conversation, about how to manage the Facebook friends, because I tend to keep my business off of my first Facebook. So that's something that is a different conversation that we'll have later. But I'd like to know kind of how to manage that.
Well, that would be a long conversation. So yeah, we can definitely do it on a different call. And actually, I'm going to have senior consultant Liz Aliva she's going to come on to either to one of our team dinners or to one of our team calls to come on and talk about social media. She's awesome. She's one of my favorite Ambit people. She's very, very skilled in Ambit and in how to deal with social media. So I'll make sure that everyone's aware when she's on the call or on the team dinner to talk about that.
Please
But at the same time,
do. That's a big sticking thing with me.
No, I get that.
Separate.
But you can always have 2 Facebook pages. You can have a business one and you can have a friend's one. But even on your personal one, anything that's big, like a promotion to EC, or every now and again, it's nothing wrong with putting something on there about your business. It doesn't have to be like mine, which is like constant. I didn't intend for mine to be constant Ambit, but obviously now I have a lot of people friending me through Ambit, and now pretty much my whole personal page is about Ambit, and all my friends in England are like, what have you got yourself into? What are you doing? Type thing. And it just is the way it is. But it's much more important to me that people know about what's happening in my Ambit business than it is that they know what I had for breakfast yesterday morning.
Yes.
So I'm okay with it, and it is very beneficial to me. I don't use social media to be, that person in social media. It's very, very much just putting information up there about latest calls, latest events, latest promotions. Every now and again, if our rates drop, I'll say, hey, if you guys are, looking to switch away from your current electricity provider, I'll promote that. But I never promote the business on social media in its current state. But that being said, I'm keeping my options open as time moves on and we get some training from Liz Oliva. So
I'm really interested in that. Because a lot of the contacts that I've had has been something that someone posted that I haven't spoken to them in a long time. And it was almost seeing that post was an opening conversation. And I've got several, so we had opened a conversation. I watched private message and we talked, and that's actually led into. But I don't know what about the post. We'll do that at a different time. So.
Me too. I've done the same thing, and that's actually a great way. You're already doing that part really well. I do the same thing, and I've brought in a couple of consultants the same way. Someone's just lost their job, or something's changed and they need something new. Yeah, I agree with that. So, all right, moving on. What else have we got?
All right, we've got another text message. I had a missed call. I was on another call. I couldn't get it. It was last week. I have a really close friend of mine that's a doctor. I help her. I mean, we're pretty close, and it's one of the people that's in her. And she's a consultant. She got 2 customers and got out. She doesn't really take it serious. She's a doctor. So she's already in, and we'll deal with it later. She's, I'm sharing a little bit about the things that are going on, and she put me in contact with a lady that she's got working for there that's recently widowed about a year ago. And she was trying to call me, so I've set up to have lunch with her on Friday.
Right.
She's got horses and a big land, and she's widowed with a big bunch of horses and cows and everything to deal with. So it's a little different situation with her. So I've got that set up for an appointment. Not a whole lot happened there. This was almost a follow-up.
Okay.
On the coach, I have not called him. I have not called him. I've got him on for tomorrow. I had a guest show up at my house today that was an unexpected guest. It's a cousin of my husband's, and that took an hour and a half of our evening, and that was not expected. My mom came by, and she had some stuff to deal with the estate of my stepbrother, and that was not expected. We had a couple of things.
So you weren't not calling him because you were scared to call him?
No, I was just not calling him because I'm really tired. I tried to stay. I had an MRI today, and I thought that I could sleep through it. I was like, because I've had epilepsy as a little kid. I've had these all my life, and they don't bother me at all. So I was like, I stayed up real late last night and got up real early this morning. I'm going to sleep through it. Now, this is one of those where you have to hold your breath and then let it out. I'm like, so they're not going to let you sleep. I thought I was
no.
So I'm already tired. I'm already a little bit gripey. And then it just, when I got home at like 4 o'clock, it was just a bunch of things happened, and my mind's not. My mind's not right.
Perfectly fine.
This person.
That's a good decision. Just make sure you put the time aside in your calendar tomorrow to make the call, and it'll be perfectly fine. So, yeah, that's fine. I think that's a perfectly okay decision to do that.
I did with Todd. He's my stacking cats guy. We have been playing phone tag all day. I can't get to his calls. He can't get to mine. We're going back. He has sent me his bill, but he doesn't understand that I'm not. When I talk to him,
and he is calling you back. He is calling you back.
He's calling me back. He's calling Scooter back. We're on. We're just. This was during the crazy 2 hours where kids are coming in and out. Mom's here. Guy just shows up out of nowhere. It was just during that time.
So let's cover that real quick to avoid some confusion. When someone is calling you back, even though we have that rule of 4 calls when you're trying to reach out to them, that's only when the calls are in one direction. If the other person isn't calling you back at all, 4 calls, as we talked about yesterday, and then after that, if they're still not calling back, they're going to get purged onto a 3-month callback. But when they're calling back, it can be 10 calls. If you're playing phone tag, it's just unfortunate. So, yeah, that's perfectly fine. I just wanted to make sure I cleared that up for those people who are listening to understand that, if you're constantly leaving voicemails, but because he's calling you back and you keep missing each other, that's okay.
Well, all right. My last and most meaningful call, I think, today was with Pastor Kevin. And I started out, and this is, I'm gonna be completely honest about this because I started off on script. I actually wrote everything down and got completely off script. But this is a little bit. No, I started off with the intentional because we usually meet him for breakfast when we talk to him. So it's like, when's a good time for breakfast? Well, he started telling me about him switching jobs. He has switched jobs. He's gone from one ministry to another, and he was telling me. And of course, he hasn't talked to us since the last time Scooter was in ICU. So I was like, hey, I want you to sit down. Everything's going great. You hadn't heard that out of my mouth in a long time, have you? He wanted to know how he was doing, and he asked, what company I was with, and all this. And I was trying not to give too much information, but it did turn in. I mean, it turned personal, but I didn't say anything about business.
Well, let me ask you this.
I'm with Ambus Energy, and I'm sorry.
Cathy, let me ask you this question. Did you tell him you were in a hurry?
I did. I said, I can't talk very long. I said, my mom just left here. I've got to get on a call tonight, and I don't have a whole lot of time. And the conversation really wasn't more than maybe 10 minutes. And I shot for 5. But he really wanted to know what was going on with my husband. He's been his pastor.
Right, and I get that, and that's great. But try to take control of the conversation a little bit more, and leave a bit more that's why I want to get together. Let's go. I'm so busy right now. Listen, I'm so swamped right now, Kevin. Let's go grab some breakfast.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's the way. You got to posture a little bit on that, because if you truly were in a desperate hurry, you would have had to have said that, and he would have been totally okay with it. And you want to, on invitation calls, you want to do everything. I know there's always exceptions, but you want to do everything you can to avoid a long conversation like that, and close and use that fact that there's still so much to talk about as the reason to get together. So I think you did great. And so how did it end up? I need to ask. How did it end up?
Well, and I did ask him. I did tell him. I said, look, Kevin, I said, I've got so much I would like to catch up with you with and everything. I said, but I'm very intentionally trying to, I want to sit down with you and I want to talk to you about my business. And then he told me about what he was doing and how he's working from home, but this week is Easter week and he's everywhere. And then he just, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm working with Ambus Energy. I usually don't even get that far. But then he just kind of pinned me down. How is Scooter? How are y'all doing? It was, he kind of did take control of it, but it wasn't. This is somebody I genuinely, whether he comes in my business or not, I don't care.
I understand genuinely that, but Cathy,
I genuinely want his opinion.
I understand. I completely understand, but you need to be as duplicatable as you possibly can. And I understand you love this man, this type of thing. But for the purposes of the people who are listening on the call, for the purposes of your posturing in the business, you don't love him any less because you don't tell him about Ambit on the phone. You don't love him any less because you cut him short from 10 minutes to 5 minutes because you want to get together face to face. Do your best. You were lucky. You were lucky. He dragged you into the business there, and he gently and nicely and because you love him, you let him push you into the beginning of the valley of death, and you luckily stepped back out. But that is one of the biggest things in the business, is to do your best not to get dragged into a conversation about Ambit energy on the invitation call. Again, I understand you have a great affinity with this gentleman, and he's a lovely man, and he's so lovely that you managed to step out. But you must try to avoid that in future. It doesn't mean
I do have an appointment set up with him Monday morning. We're having breakfast on Monday morning.
And that again, that's fine, and that's really good. But with a different person, you could have got dragged into a very awkward, stunted, difficult conversation with someone that you really like, and you want to avoid that like the plague. If someone, so for those of you who are listening on the call, I mean, I'm sure you sympathize with Cathy. I absolutely do. But I've got to say it how it is. The valley of death is one of the biggest reasons why people quit Ambit. The number one reason why they quit Ambit is they just don't do it. But the number two biggest reason why people quit Ambit is because of rejection and because they suddenly get dragged into a presentation on the telephone. Now, you do know about the business, and you can do a reasonable explanation over the phone, but a lot of people who are brand new cannot. And all of a sudden they get asked, well, what are you doing? What is it? And they say, oh, it's Ambit. And they say, well, Ambit, my friend did that, and he said it didn't work. Oh, well, that maybe they didn't get to do it right. Maybe they should have plugged in. But you can make millions of dollars, and all of a sudden there's this slippery slope. And so you have to, you can't even open the door. Again, I completely
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, I completely sympathize, Cathy. I really do. And it's your big, lovely, wonderful heart that opened the door to someone who has an equally lovely, wonderful, big heart. But you can't do that in future. You've got to, and you got away with it, as I say, and you've got an appointment, so success, thumbs up. But I'm more happy with the way you dealt with the beauty shop lady than I am with the way you dealt with the pastor, even though the result with the pastor was better. From a purpose of coaching, you dealt with that lady perfectly. You did it great. But with this one, you allowed yourself to get dragged into the valley of death, and that mustn't happen. Okay?
This is, okay. And I don't know for the people that are listening. I know for me, I am much better with dealing with people I am not in some way emotionally attached to. I am much better at that. I mean, that's just. I'm going to pick up my MRI results tomorrow. And I used to work at a doctor's office, so I dealt with this particular imaging company quite a bit. And they loved me to death, and they're just like, oh, we'll have our electric bill tomorrow. And when I go pick it up, so I'm going to go pick it up tomorrow, and they've, I think I'm actually going to generate some customers from it. And I didn't really talk to anyone specifically about the business. There are two people there that are going on my list that I have worked with individually and all that, so I'm not emotionally attached to them. So, I mean, that was okay. And I am so much more confident when I'm dealing with people I don't know that well, or someone that I know.
And I get that. And I get that. And this call, whilst you are the victim / special guest on this call, for the number one reason for doing this is for the coaching, for the benefit of the people who are listening in. And so I have to coach the right way. Yeah, and while I completely understand why, the reason why we're in a hurry is because then we can protect ourselves from getting dragged into a 10-minute invite instead of a 2-minute invite, and we can book an appointment with someone rather than getting dragged into presentation. Listen, Kevin, I absolutely want to get together. In fact, the reason why I called was I want to get together for breakfast because I have literally got to run right out the door right now. I want to hear everything you're doing with your new job. I want to see what's happening with Scooter. But right now, I've literally got to get off the phone. So 9 o'clock on Monday, good for breakfast? Okay, awesome. It's so great to speak to you. I love you dearly. I've missed you so much. I'll see you on Monday. I'm really looking forward to it. That's how you deal with it.
Okay.
Cathy, I've just beaten you up. I've just beaten you up a little bit, so I have to tell you that I love you.
No, you don't beat. No, this is what I have to learn. This is what I have to learn because the majority of my business is doing better with people I don't know that well. Because I'm professional. You come to my house or somebody I know, I'm like, I want to give you tea and feed you lunch, and you can't leave my house without eating. I'm that person.
Perfect.
It's hard for me with people I know well. This is where I need the most discipline. And I'm assuming I'm probably not the only person out there that needs that discipline. Is how
there's 100 people listening to this call right now squirming in their chairs because they know they're the same person, and I've also made the same mistake. I'm not pretending to be someone perfect. I'm sure Darren has. I'm sure Paul has. I'm sure other leaders have, but we need to coach our way out of it, and that's the way to deal with that. So,
because genuinely care. I genuinely care about what's going on in their life. I genuinely want to know.
And that's completely fine, but completely irrelevant.
Right.
This was
so I was just going to learn
this time and a place.
Yeah.
So what else is happening? You've got a lot done today, actually. For someone who had a crazy day, have you got anything else that we need to discuss?
Don't even want to. Yeah, I still got to hit the coach tomorrow. I still got to talk to the coach tomorrow. I just
cool.
like I said, my mind's not right to be talking to people. And I've got he's a waiter. Anyway, he's an extremely engaging person. He's a little bit younger than me, but he is just, you just say his name and everyone knows who he is. He's very friendly. Very, right. I come from restaurants. You've done with restaurants. You know that personality, and he is a person of integrity. Also, have not seen him in about 6 months. So this is who I'm gonna. So I know that it's kind of cheating to take the. If I took the coach off of yesterday's call, but I got 2 other people. So does it count if I use the coach for tomorrow?
Listen, it's your business.
I'll see you too.
You can cheat as much as you like because you're the only one who's going to catch you. But do you know how to invite that guy?
Yes, I actually sent him a text last night and said, "Hey Franklin, where are you at now, honey?" I said, "Here's my number. Send me a text." And he sent me a text. Said, "All right," said, "I'm gonna be calling you on Wednesday," because he said his day off was Wednesday. So I'm going to catch him tomorrow.
And make sure.
And I didn't say anything else. anything else.
Okay, that's fine. But when you make sure when you do the invite, have the 5. Be yourself. Absolutely be yourself. But do make sure that you're not making every invite a custom invite. Get yourself into the rhythm of a regular, using the 5 guidelines. Be yourself, absolutely. But then, but don't keep customizing it just because you know him, you know how great he is. Make the invite using the 5 guidelines that you've got, because then it's going to be perfectly duplicatable. It'll do the job. So just be disciplined with yourself when you put the invite together. Do you know how are you going to invite him? Bearing in mind the 5 guidelines. What's your? Is it? You're just super impressed with him and you want him to be a business partner, or do you know he has a why of wanting to get out of there, or what?
Well, no, I know he's not much younger than me. He's in his probably late 30s. Guy works to death. Great attitude, just amazing attitude. But I'm in a hurry, and he understands being in a hurry. He understands that. I have been his manager before. He understands being in a hurry. So I'm in a hurry. So I don't have a lot of time.
But what's the angle of your invite when you call him?
When I call him,
is it going to be because? Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in a hurry. I'm on my way to. Hey, Scooter's doing great. We're just heading out of town right now, and I want to see when I can meet with you. I want to tell you what's been going on in my life, and got a business opportunity I'd like to share with you. Is that too much?
Okay. Could you explain to me how that follows the 5 guidelines that we've talked about on Sunday?
Well, I know that it's being in a hurry and getting off the phone first.
Right.
But what else?
But you said you want to get together because you want to discuss a business opportunity with him.
Okay.
You're kind of there, but this is what I'm trying to do, is to trying to help you use the 5 guidelines.
So how do I hone that down better?
Okay, here's what I would do. I think it was short enough. I think it's great. But you didn't include your why. You didn't do a takeaway. You weren't intentional on setting the time. So, again, I'm being a little tough here, and it's tough. It's tough love.
I'm writing.
Okay, so I would, what's his name?
Franklin.
Okay, I would say, hey, Franklin, listen, I'm in a super big hurry right now, but I've been meaning to give you a call. In fact, I was talking to Scooter about you just the other day, because do you have a couple of minutes, I'd say? And he'd say, yeah, absolutely. I'd say, well, we're a little older, Scooter and I are a little older than you, and we went through a lot just recently, and we're knocking on the door of retirement, and we've got to make sure that we're financially set, because I don't want to be in the same position we were when Scooter was ill before. So we started a new business project, not opportunity. You use the word opportunity in your invite, you've got to lose that. Okay, we started a new business project.
Not opportunity. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. We started a new business project. So I've done the being in a hurry. Then I talked about my why, because then he'll listen with his heart and not his ears. And then we've got the hook, which is, so we started a new business project that's working really, really well for us. And his name's Franklin, right?
Yes.
Right. So now I'll be, and Franklin, the reason why I'm calling you is I want you to see what we're doing for a couple of reasons. Number one, I just want you to know what we're doing, because you know everybody. And when you're in business, you've got to make sure that your business is well networked, and you'd be great for that. But you know what, Franklin, more than that, I actually think you would may want to do this yourself. I've always been really impressed with, your attitude, and everybody knows you. And I know you work super hard where you are. And this may be something that really suits you. What are you doing on Friday? Oh, no, sorry. I don't know if it's going to be your cup of tea or not. And Franklin, that's perfectly fine. If it's not, then, just you knowing about what we're doing for referrals would be great. But what are you doing after work on, well, he'll probably, if he's in a restaurant, he's going to have time between 2 and 4. What are you doing, 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon? Let's go grab a coffee and see what I'm doing and see if it makes sense to you. There are the 5 things, okay? So number 1, being in a hurry. Number 2, your why. So he's listening. He understands. He knows you and Scooter went through a lot just recently. So you started a new business project that's going really well for you in the DFW area. There's your excitement. There's the hook. And Franklin, I want you to take a look at what we're doing for a couple of reasons. First one is, and then you talk about the fact he knows so many people, and it'd be great, for helping network your business. But secondly, you know what, Franklin? I'd like you to take a look at this, because I think you would like what we're doing, and it may be something you want to do too. Maybe something you want to do too. I don't know if it's going to be your cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine. There's the takeaway, because that then will help him be relaxed. But I know you finish lunch finishes around 2:30, and won't be starting up again till maybe 5. So let's get together tomorrow, at 3 o'clock. Let me buy you a coffee and see what we're doing. Okay,
well,
so now you can shorten that.
It's not somebody that's very close to me, so this one I think will be a little bit easier. That seems to be where I have the worst troubles. Cause
right, but he used to work for you, right? You were his manager.
Yep, and he knows
well,
if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. He knows. He's worked with me. He's worked with me. He knows.
Right. So, but this is the thing, Cathy, is that your invite was good, and you get away with it. But unfortunately, the hurry was in there, but you didn't have a takeaway. So you've got the potential of it being awkward if he's not interested. You haven't given him the get out. And again, you will deal with it and you'll be perfectly okay with it, but a lot of your team won't be. And if you said, listen, Franklin, I don't know if it's going to be your cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine. If when you show him, he says, this looks great and stuff, but it's just not what I want to do. I don't like these type of businesses. I don't want to do it. You can say, you know what, Franklin, remember when I suggested you take a look that it's not for everybody? That's perfectly fine. All of a sudden, you've taken all the power back. And so from a psychological standpoint, that's very strong. So, Cathy, here's what I want you to think about, is think about the 5 guidelines for the invite. Each time you do an invite, don't wing it. Be in a hurry. Use your why, the hook, the takeaway, and an intentional date. Okay.
And honestly, I didn't bring him to take. The first time you said that just kind of became part of my verbiage. It may or may not be for you. It's okay. And maybe I need to make sure I express that.
Right. And again, the invite you.
And I tell it to people that I'm on.
The invite that you did was fine, but it missed too many things where you could get dragged into a valley of death. Or where you get it gets awkward if he says he's not interested in the opportunity, you can't get the power back, and it's just harder to duplicate. If we use these 5 guidelines,
I do that. So.
Right. That invite will be really good for Franklin. You're in a hurry. You're going to say, hey, listen, you know that Scooter and I went through a lot just recently. And we're knocking on the door of retirement. We've got to make sure we have enough money for retirement. Now he's a little younger than you, so he may or may not be able to relate to that. But if you know any pain of his, like he's married, got kids, or whatever, then by all means talk about his why too.
Right.
I'll be in a hurry. Use your why. You've got this brand new project that's working really well for you in the DFW area. And Franklin, I want you to take a look at this. So there's the posturing. I want you to take a look at this for a couple of different reasons. The first one, you know everybody. Everybody knows who Franklin is. Mention your name. Everybody goes, oh, I know Franklin. Any business owner should let Franklin know what they're doing because everyone will know about it. So that's the first reason. But secondly, Franklin, is I've always been super impressed with the way you work and your work ethic, and I want you to take a look at what we're doing because I think you might like to do this with me. Okay, so now you're posturing about getting to see him, but actually him doing it, you're saying, I think you may possibly want to do this with me. So you're being gentle on that side. You're posturing heavily about the getting together. I want you to take a look at this, 100% right between the eyes. We're getting together because you're going to look at this. Now, listen, because we're going to get your referrals, but secondly, you know what? Just with your work ethic and everything, it may be something you want to do with me. You can be gentle on that side. It may or may not be your cup of tea. There's a takeaway. But the intentionality was in the fact you're going to look at this, gosh darn it. May or may not be your cup of tea is fine. What are you doing tomorrow, 3 o'clock between lunch and dinner? Take a look at what we're doing. So bang, now you're getting postured on getting together to show them again. Let's get together 3 o'clock. Let me buy you a coffee and see if it makes sense for you. So there's 5 guidelines in there. And as you put your invites together, I need you to do your best to try and follow those 5 guidelines and stop winging it.
Takeaway. I think the biggest thing is my why. I leave it out a lot, unless of course, unless I'm talking to a pastor that's been sitting in a hospital praying with us. I mean, it's kind of hard to shorten that one. But I need to find a way to shorten that, and it has changed. My why has changed. It does change as we go forward. And I think
the most important thing is, the job of the why in the invite is to get them to listen with their heart and not their ears. The fact whether your why is absolutely 100% accurate or not is not important. It's that it gets them to listen with their heart and not their ears. We're knocking on the door of retirement. Or if we got kids going to be going into college, and Franklin, I know you've got a couple of kids who are mid-teenagers, if he does. I don't know if he does or he doesn't. You know, you need to get their attention and relate to them. And that's how you do that with your why. So be in a hurry, use your why, use their why if you know it, or if it's the same as yours. Or the hook. So my husband, Scooter and I started a new business project we're working on right now that's going really, really well for us in the DFW area, and we're going to have our retirement fully paid. Or we're going to have college fully paid for our kids, because that's going to relate to him if he's got kids. Listen, I don't.
We got to get off, and I'm going to deal with these tomorrow. I'm going to try to stick with this tomorrow, and then just whatever I run into tomorrow. But tomorrow when we talk, people on the list are going to be the one. This is my chicken list is not so much people that are more successful. My chicken list is people that I'm more emotionally attached to.
Okay, great.
That's the hardest part for me.
And that's what we're going to work on. And I'm going to work hard with you to help you with the right invite that's right for you. So we'll be fine. But yeah. All right. Well, if that's the call was long again, but there's some good coaching in there. I was a little tough on you, and I know you've had a tough day. So Cathy, I'm sorry.
You know you have to try harder than that to offend me, right? You're not even giving it a good effort. So.
I'm not even.
You're not even trying. So.
Oh my God, Cathy, you are so awesome. I love it.
But I need this. No, I need this. I know that there are things that I need people to be direct with me about. And I'm doing, and if this furthers my business, and by furthering my business, it helps somebody else.
Yeah.
Have at it. So you have to try harder than that if you want to upset me.
Well, let me tell you this, Cathy. There are a number of people invite in different ways, and there could be someone else who's listening to this call who invites in a different way, and that's perfectly fine. But what I'm trying to coach you is this whole purge week works. It works. And the invite that we happen to use, just a certain style of invite, happens to work as well. And so what I want to do is I want to give you a way of creating an invite that you can do it for yourself, but more importantly, that you can do it for new downline. And then they can do it for their people. The reason why this business makes money, the reason why Paul's making money, the reason why Darren's making money is because it's duplicatable. What they do is duplicatable. And if you're winging it and you're doing custom invites, I had a pastor who was my victim a couple of weeks ago before you, and he did the most eloquent, perfect custom invites, totally not duplicatable. And I had to take it right out of him. And trust me, it was very hard to be mean to a pastor, but he was like you. He said, Richard, I need to
they could like rain hellfire and damnation on you.
Yeah. Yeah, I am not going to heaven after that. But no, the one thing I know I can
tread lightly.
Yeah, that's right. During this lifetime for him, though, I know I've helped him with his business because I've put him in a situation where he's more duplicatable. And duplicatable is what is important. If you learn this, Cathy, it'll be very successful for you. You're already successful just purely because of your will that you have. But you're going to be able to coach your people. And as you go from senior to executive, your job is to create great leaders. And you're right in there right now. And the only way you're going to do that is if you duplicate and people duplicate what you're doing. So that's why I'm being a little tough on you.
That's fine. Richard, I wouldn't have talked to these people this week. I mean, I would have just gone through my life and talked to people, and I would have talked to people like I usually do. But I would not have intentionally set out for the people that I don't know how to talk to. That is why I am so honored. Because these are people I don't know how to talk to. I don't know how to open the conversation. So I need your help in a little goading, little push, and you know, because there's going to be someone in my life that comes up like this that now I'll know how to deal with it. And I'll know how to tell someone else. So no.
All right.
Try to offend me. I dare you. So.
Hey, well, listen,
have a fantastic night, Richard. I'm sorry I talked so much. So.
Hey, no. This is great. I know there's a lot of people who listen to these calls who are going, that's me. So I'm happy that you're being so vulnerable. I appreciate it. Lovely. Have a great day tomorrow. Call me if you need me. Text me if you need me. I'll do my best to get back to you. But I'll see you on the accountability call tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
All right, lovely. All right.
Have a good night, everybody.
I'll see you soon. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thanks, Dan.